I discovered that my husband had set up another family in State A, lavishing a lavish 8.7 million mansion on his mistress while I lived in a cramped 800 yuan a month rental. Without hesitation, I swiftly transferred our joint assets. My husband's phone rang. It wasn't the one he usually uses. The sound came from under the bed. I bent down to look. In the gap between the bed slats and the floor, there was an old Huawei phone, its screen flashing. The caller ID showed 4 words. Wife. I stared at that little heart icon for 5 seconds. Then I remembered, my contact name in his phone is Wife too, but without the heart. I didn't touch that phone. The ringing went on for a long time, then finally stopped on its own. I straightened up and looked at Zhou Haiming, who was brushing his teeth in the bathroom. He finished brushing, wiped his face, came out, saw me standing by the bed, and asked, "What's wrong?" I said, "Nothing." He grunted an "oh," picked up his usual phone from the coffee table, and started scrolling through short videos. I looked at his profile. 10 years of marriage, his face is so familiar to me. Thick eyebrows, a flat nose, the corners of his mouth always turned slightly downward, making him look like everyone owes him money. 10 years. I've been married to him for 10 years. I'm going grocery shopping. I picked up my coat. Yeah, he didn't even lift his head. I went out, but instead of going to the market, I walked to a bench outside the neighborhood and sat down. Those 4 words kept running through my mind. Wife. With a little heart. I took out my phone and scrolled through our chat history. The last message was from 3 days ago. I asked him, "What do you want for dinner?" He replied, "Whatever." Scrolling up further, from a week ago, I asked him, "Want to take the kid to the park this weekend?" He replied, "We'll see." Our chat history, you could scroll to the end in one go. Because there's so little of it. I remembered what my mom said, Zhou Haiming, he doesn't talk much, but he's dependable. Yeah, dependable. 10 years, he never bought me a single flower. I said I wanted some, he said, flowers wilt in a few days, not practical. 10 years, he never celebrated an anniversary with me. I said I wanted to go out for a meal, he said eating out is so expensive, not worth it. 10 years, the most expensive thing he ever bought me was a hair clip. 50 yuan. That was on my birthday, I spotted it myself at the night market. He paid for it very reluctantly. This, he said at the time. A bit pricey. 50 yuan. I chalked it all up to him being frugal. My mom also said, Haiming doesn't earn much, you need to live frugally. Doesn't he earn much? He's a construction supervisor, takes home 12,000 a month. We live in a rented 2-bedroom apartment, monthly rent 2,800. Our son goes to a regular public elementary school, tuition is almost nothing. I work in admin at a small company, salary 5,000 a month. Our combined income is 17,000. After 10 years, you'd think we'd have saved a fair amount. But our savings have never exceeded 100,000. Where does all the money go? I asked him once. He said, daily expenses, you spend it too, don't you? What did I spend? The skincare I use costs 29.90 a bottle, the clothes I buy online average less than 100 yuan, my lunch is a 15 yuan boxed meal from downstairs. Where did the money go? I didn't know before. Now, I think I have an idea. I sat on the bench for half an hour, then got up and headed home. When I pushed open the door, he had already left for work. The house was empty. Our son was at school, wouldn't be back until 4 p.m. I walked into the bedroom and bent down to look under the bed. That phone was still there. I took it out. It was an old Huawei, a different model from the one he uses now. I tried entering his birthday, unlock failed. Tried my birthday, unlock failed. Tried our wedding anniversary, unlock failed. I stared at the screen, thought for a moment, and entered 6 ones. Unlock successful. My hand started to tremble. This password wasn't his birthday, wasn't mine, wasn't any of our anniversaries. He couldn't even be bothered to think of a meaningful password. Because this phone had nothing to do with me. I opened WeChat. The profile picture was a landscape, couldn't tell who it was. The name was Ming. The friends list was very short. Only a dozen or so people. But there was one pinned to the top. V was wife. I clicked on it and saw the latest message. The send time was 7:15 this morning. He was still at home brushing his teeth just now. The message read, "Honey, good morning, remember to buy that Lego for the baby today, he's been talking about it for ages." Baby. Lego. My son is 8 years old, he also likes Lego. Last month on his birthday, I asked Joe Hyaming if we could buy a set for him. He said, that stuff is too expensive. Why buy it? I kept scrolling up through the chat history. Every message made my hands tremble more. Honey, take another look at the new house renovation. I want a cream-colored wall in the living room. New house. Honey, remember to transfer this month's living expenses. The baby's interest classes need to be paid for. Living expenses? Honey, I miss you. When will you come to see me and the baby? Come to see? I scrolled up, for a very long time. When did these chats start? I scrolled all the way to the very beginning. March 12, 2016. The first message was sent by him. You there? That year, we had just been married for 2 years. My son had just turned 1. I put the phone down and realized my eyes were dry. No tears. Only a chill rising from the soles of my feet. 8 years. These chat logs spanned 8 years. 8 years ago, when I was still in confinement after giving birth, had he already started? I took a deep breath, picked up the phone, and started taking screenshots. Page by page, message by message. I don't know how many screenshots I took. I only know that when I finished, it was already 12 noon. I didn't cry. I was just very cold. At 3:30 p.m., I left on time to pick up my son. My son's name is Zhou Zixuan, he's 8, in 2nd grade. He looks like me, big eyes, small mouth, dimples when he smiles. Mom. He ran over from the school gate, his backpack bouncing behind him. I crouched down to catch him. How was school today? Okay, got 98 on my math test. Great job. I ruffled his hair. What do you want for dinner? Braised pork belly. Okay. I held his hand and walked home, my mind still on those chat logs. The baby wants Lego. The baby she mentioned, how old was she? I got home, told my son to do his homework, and went into the kitchen to start cooking. Zhou Hyaming, as usual, arrived home at 6:30. He came in, changed his shoes, sat down on the sofa, and asked, "What's for dinner?" Braised pork belly. Oh. Just one word. I watched him from the kitchen doorway. He was scrolling through his phone. Using his usual phone. What about the other one? I glanced towards the bedroom. I had put it back under the bed. I wanted to know more. During dinner, my son kept talking about school stuff. Zhou Hyaming looked at his phone the whole time, occasionally grunting and hemming. I asked him, busy with work lately? So. Any time this weekend to take Zixuan to the park? He didn't even lift his head. We'll see, might have to go on a business trip. Business trip. He often goes on business trips. At least 1 week a month he's away. Before, I thought it was normal. Working in construction, going to sites is common. Now, I want to know where he really goes when he's on business trips. At 9 p.m., my son fell asleep. Zhou Hyaming was watching TV in the living room. I said, I'm going to take a shower. He grunted. Yeah. I went into the bathroom, locked the door, turned on my phone, and started checking his business trip records. He never posts anything on his WeChat moments. But he has a habit, he sends his train tickets and flight itineraries to his mom, to let her not worry. I still have his mom on WeChat. I opened the chat with my mother-in-law and scrolled up. Last December, he said he went to State A for a business trip, 3 days. This March, he said he went to Suzhou for a business trip, 5 days. This June, he said he went to State A for a business trip, 4 days. State A. Why always State A? I opened that old phone's chat logs again and searched for State A. Messages popped up one by one. Honey, call me when you arrive in State A tomorrow. Honey, the baby says he wants to feed the fish at West Lake this weekend. Are you free? Honey, I got the keys to the new house. Come see it this week. New house. State A. I exited the chats and opened WeChat wallet. This old phone was linked to a different bank card, not the one I knew about. I clicked in and checked the statements. August 2023, expense, 23,000 yuan. July 2023, expense, 31,000 yuan. June 2023, expense, 28,000 yuan. 20 to 30,000 every month. I kept scrolling back. January 2023, expense, 870,000 yuan. I stared at that number, thinking I must have misread it. 870,000. January 2023, he spent 870,000 yuan. The red, final payment for house. I felt like someone had gripped my heart. An 8.7 million yuan house. He bought an 8.7 million yuan house for another woman, in State A. And me? We live in a rented apartment for 2,800 a month. When I asked him, when can we buy a house, he said, wait a while, prices are too high now. When I asked him, can we move to a slightly bigger place, he said, renting is fine, buying isn't worth it. I crouched on the cold bathroom floor tiles, staring at the phone screen. 8.7 million. A 50 yuan hair clip. That's my worth in his eyes. Suddenly, many things clicked into place. 3 years ago, my mom was sick and needed a minor surgery. I didn't have enough money and asked him to borrow 5,000 yuan. He said, we don't have money at home. Ask your sister to lend it to you first. I really did borrow it from my sister. That same month, he transferred 20,000 to that woman. Last winter, my son wanted to learn swimming. A semester cost 3,800. I asked him if we could sign him up. He said, too expensive. Wait until he's older. That month, he bought 5,000 yuan worth of Lego for the child over there. I clenched the phone so hard my knuckles turned white. 10 years. I've been a fool for 10 years. I thought he was frugal. Turns out he's just frugal with me. I thought he didn't earn much. Turns out his money was all spent elsewhere. I thought this was a plain but dependable marriage. Turns out, from start to finish, I was the only one in it. I stood up and looked at myself in the mirror. 32 years old, fine lines already at the corners of my eyes, sallow complexion, hair pulled back in a casual ponytail. I haven't bothered to dress up properly in a long time. Because there's no money. Because it's not practical. Because every time he sees me buy something, he says, wasting money again. I looked at that tired woman in the mirror and suddenly smiled. Zhou Haiming. Did you really think I would never find out? The next day was Saturday. Zhou Haiming said he had to go on a business trip to State A. How many days? I asked. 3 or 4, probably. Some project issues. Oh. I didn't ask anymore. He packed a small suitcase and left at 2 p.m. I watched his car disappear out the neighborhood gate, then picked up my phone and opened the Gauta Maps app. His car has GPS tracking. He installed it himself, said it was to find the car easily. The password is our wedding anniversary. He probably forgot I knew the password too. I watched that little red dot heading south along the expressway. At 6 p.m., he arrived in State A. The little red dot stopped at the entrance of a residential complex. State A, Binjiang District, XX Garden. I took a screenshot. Then I opened that old phone and saw a message he sent to a wife. Arrived. What do you want for dinner? She replied with a smiley face, anything you cook is delicious. He sent another, and the baby? Doing homework. Waiting for you to come back and play with him. I stared at these two messages and suddenly felt it was absurd. Anything you cook is delicious. Zhou Haiming never cooks at home. He says he doesn't know how. He says a man in the kitchen is embarrassing. In 10 years of marriage, he hasn't even cooked me a bowl of noodles. So he can cook. Just not for me. I put the phone down and started making dinner for my son. Mom, where's Dad? My son asked. On a business trip. Again, my son pouted. He hasn't played with me for ages. Looking at my son's face, my heart felt like it was pierced by needles. Mom will play with you, okay? Okay. That night, after coaxing my son to sleep, I sat on the sofa and organized all the information I'd gathered over the past few days. Her name is Lin Xinxin, 3 years younger than me. Lives in State A, Binjiang District, XX Garden, a 170 square meter house. Has a son, 6 years old, named Zhou Zihao. Zhou Zihao. Zhou Zishuan. He even gave them such similar names. I checked the info on that house. Purchased in January 2023, total price 8.7 million. Down payment 3 million, mortgage 5.7 million. The borrower was Zhou Haiming. But the name on the property deed was Lin Xinxin. An 8.7 million house, he paid the full price, but put it in her name. I also checked his cars. He owns 2 cars. One is the old Santana we have, bought secondhand 10 years ago for 70,000. The other is a BMW X5, purchased in 2022, on-road price 520,000, registered under Lin Xinxin's name. Looking at these numbers, I felt my whole body trembling. An 8.7 million house. A 520,000 car. 20 to 30,000 in living expenses every month. How much does all this money add up to? 10 million. More than 10 million. And me? We live in a rented apartment for 2,800 a month. We drive a 10-year-old second-hand Santana. If I buy a piece of clothing for 100 yuan, he nags about it for ages. The most expensive thing he ever bought me was a 50 yuan hair clip. 50 yuan. That's my total value in his eyes. Suddenly, I remembered something. Last year on my birthday, I told him I wanted a scarf. Not expensive, just over 200. He said, it's not even that cold. Why buy a scarf? I didn't say anything more. Later, I bought a discounted one for 89 yuan myself. That night, he transferred a sum of money to Lin Xinxin. Happy birthday, darling. Amount, 18,888 yuan. My 89. Her 18,888. I closed my eyes and took several deep breaths. Calm down. Need to stay calm. I can't act rashly now. I need more evidence. I need to make sure he leaves the marriage with nothing. Monday, Zhou Haiming came back from his business trip. When he walked in, he was carrying a bag. I asked, what did you buy? Lego for Zishuan. A friend gave it to me. I took it and glanced at it. Lego City Series, Police Station, 1,299 yuan. A friend gave it? I remembered that chat log, honey, remember to buy that Lego for the baby. So he bought 2 sets. One for the child over there. One for our child here. So I wouldn't get suspicious. Nice. I handed the Lego to my son. Go play. My son was thrilled, grabbed the box, and ran into his room. Zhou Haiming sat down on the sofa, picked up his phone, and started scrolling. I looked at his profile and asked, tired from the business trip? So. How was the accommodation? Just so, a regular hotel. Regular hotel. An 8.7 million house, 170 square meters, counts as a regular hotel? I didn't say anything more. I went into the kitchen and started cooking. While cooking, I kept thinking about one thing. Where did he get all this money? He earns 12,000 a month. Even if he spent not a single cent, in 10 years that's just over 1.4 million. How could he possibly afford an 8.7 million house? Unless a possibility occurred to me. His salary is just the income on the books. He might have other income. Or maybe that woman's money. No, that woman didn't seem to have a job. The chat logs were full of a transfer me the living expenses. So where did the money come from? I needed to check his bank statements. But I didn't know the password for that card. I only knew our joint account, the one that never had more than 100,000 in it. I thought for a moment and decided to approach from another angle. Zhou Haiming's parents. They live in their hometown, a small county town. His dad was a section chief in the county construction bureau before retiring. His mom worked at a bank. Zhou Haiming is an only child. His parents probably know something. On the weekend, I took my son back to their hometown. My mother-in-law seemed happy to see us, bustling around preparing food. My father-in-law sat in the living room watching TV, didn't say much. During the meal, I casually asked, "Dad, Mom, Haiming has been busy with work lately, often going on business trips. Do you know what he's busy with?" My mother-in-law paused for a moment and glanced at my father-in-law. My father-in-law put down his chopsticks and said, "We're not too clear about his affairs either." I noticed that look. They were exchanging some kind of information. I smiled. Just asking. He's away so often, I get a bit worried. My mother-in-law gave a dry laugh. Men, they're career-focused. It's normal. I didn't ask any more. But I already had my answer. They knew. After the meal, I used the excuse of taking my son out to play, letting them stay in the living room. I walked to my in-laws' bedroom door and found it slightly ajar. I heard my mother-in-law talking. About that situation over there, do you think she might have found out? My father-in-law's voice, probably not. Haiming's kept it quiet well. Mother-in-law, that child is 6 now, can't keep them apart forever, can we? Father-in-law, we'll talk about it later. No need to create more trouble now. I stood perfectly still by the door. That child. 6 years old. The situation over there, they mentioned. They knew all along. From the very beginning, the whole family knew. Only I was kept in the dark. I didn't go in and confront them. I turned around, went to the yard, and bought my son an ice cream. My son happily licked his ice cream and asked me, "Mom, when are we going back?" "Tomorrow." Okay. That night, lying on the bed in my mother-in-law's house, I didn't sleep a wink. I was thinking about one thing. How could they be so comfortable with this? Their son has 2 families, 2 wives, 2 children. Didn't they see a problem with that? I thought back to how my mother-in-law had treated me over these 10 years. Neither warm nor cold. Never said anything good about me, never said anything bad either. The red envelopes she gave during holidays were always 200 yuan. Not too little, not too much, just enough to be polite. Now I understood. She wasn't indifferent. She was saving her warmth for the other daughter-in-law. The one who gave her heirs. The one living in the 8.7 million house. Suddenly, I remembered something. 3 years ago, my mother-in-law celebrated her 70th birthday. Zhou Haiming said he was too busy and made me take my son back. I brought a gift of 10,000 yuan in cash and bought a bunch of supplements. My mother-in-law accepted the gifts, praised me a bit, then asked, "How's Zishuan? Good grades?" I said they were fine. She grunted and didn't say anything more. Now I understood. She wasn't asking about my son. She was comparing. Comparing Zhou Zishuan and Zhou Zihao, seeing which one was more promising. I lay in bed, staring at the pitch-black ceiling, and suddenly laughed. Zhou Haiming. Your dad, your mom. Your whole family kept me in the dark for 10 years. You thought I would never know. You thought I'd stay fooled forever. You were wrong. After returning from their hometown, I started gathering evidence more systematically. Chat logs, I'd already saved all the screenshots. Transfer records, I'd also taken screenshots. Property information, I asked a friend who's a real estate agent to help me check. Vehicle information, I could find on the traffic management app. But this wasn't enough. I needed to prove they lived together as husband and wife. For a bigamy charge, this is necessary. I started compiling his business trip records over the years. Every trip to state A, the dates, duration, GPS screenshots, I recorded them all. I also noticed a pattern. Every year on May 18th, he would go on a business trip. Last year, May 18th, he went on a business trip to Stata for 3 days. The year before, May 18th, he went on a business trip to Stata for 2 days. The year before that, May 18th, he went on a business trip to Stata for 4 days. What's so special about May 18th? I scrolled through the chat logs on that old phone. Found the answer. On May 18th, 2018, he said in the chat, "Honey, happy first wedding anniversary." She replied, "Honey, love you forever. First wedding anniversary." On May 18th, 2017, they got married. No legal marriage certificate, but they held a wedding. At a hotel in State A, invited relatives and friends from both sides. I found photos from that day in her moments. She was in a white wedding dress, smiling happily. He was in a suit, smiling smugly. The caption under the photos: "Today, I married the one I love most." Many people liked it. One name I recognized. Zhou Haiming's mother. My mother-in-law. She liked it and commented, "Wishing you a lifetime of love and happiness." I stared at that comment, my fingers frozen. May 18th, 2017. That year, I was 8 months pregnant. I was home with my big belly, waiting for him. He said he went on a business trip. Turns out he went to his own wedding. My mother-in-law, when I was 8 months pregnant, went to his other wedding. And wished them a lifetime of love and happiness. I put the phone down, walked to the balcony, and looked at the sky outside. 10 years. I had been married to a married man for 10 years. His other wedding was a year earlier than ours. We got our marriage certificate in 2016. In 2017, he and she had their wedding. That wedding had no legal standing. But in everyone's eyes, she was his real wife. The $8.7 million house. The $520,000 car. $20,000 in monthly living expenses. Wedding anniversary, business trips. Blessings from his entire family. And me? I live in a rented apartment for $2,800 a month. I use 29.90 skincare products. I wear clothes costing less than 100 yuan. I've never even received a single flower. What am I? I'm his tool to deal with his parents, to deal with society. I'm his face. I'm his shield. I'm the one placed in the legal position, the one who doesn't need to be taken seriously. I stood on the balcony, taking deep breaths for a long time. Finally, the tears fell. Not from sadness. From anger. Zhou Haiming. You treated me like a fool for 10 years. Now, it's my turn. I needed a lawyer. I searched online for a long time and found a lawyer specializing in marital property disputes, named Wang. I made an appointment to see her. Mrs. Zhou, I roughly understand your situation. Lawyer Wang looked at the materials I brought. The evidence is quite strong. I asked, can I sue him for bigamy? Lawyer Wang thought for a moment. Strictly speaking, bigamy requires proving that he and the other party live together as husband and wife. They don't have a marriage certificate, but they had a wedding, have a child together, have a long history of cohabitation, and his family participated. We can try the criminal route, but the success rate isn't 100%. What about the assets? That part is more promising. Lawyer Wang said. He transferred a large amount of joint marital assets during the marriage, purchasing property and vehicles, and made long-term payments of living expenses to the third party. We have transfer records as evidence. During the divorce, you can demand the recovery of these assets, or request corresponding compensation. I nodded. One more thing. Lawyer Wang said. The house he bought for that woman, although registered in her name, the purchase funds came from joint marital assets. You can sue to have that gift declared void. How much could I potentially get back? Based on the current evidence, a conservative estimate is that you could recover about 3 to 4 million in assets. If the court finds him grossly at fault, it could be more. 3 to 4 million. Over these 10 years, the money he spent over there was far more than that. But getting part of it back is still good. I paid the legal fees and signed the retainer agreement. Mrs. Zhou. Lawyer Wang said finally. When do you plan to confront him? I thought about it. I'll wait a bit longer. For what? I want to know exactly how he plans to deal with me. Lawyer Wang looked at me but didn't say anything. I left the law firm and drove home. On the way, I got a call from Zhou Haiming. What do you want for dinner? He asked. Whatever. I'll buy some groceries on the way home. Okay. He actually took the initiative to say he'd buy groceries and cook. Strange. Too strange. He never cooks. What's gotten into him today? That evening, he did buy groceries and cooked 3 dishes and a soup. The taste was mediocre, but it was the first time